Everybody says they want more, right? More, more, more. I want more success. I want more freedom. I want more money, more visibility. I want more purpose. I want more, right? More, more, more. That's what we're always asking for, especially in this culture. Am I right? But almost nobody is asking the question, can I actually hold it? Because wanting something and being able to sustain it are two completely different things. And this is really where people get stuck. Not because they're not capable, and certainly not because they're not worthy. It doesn't have anything to do with worth. It's because nobody ever explained to them, and maybe nobody ever explained to you. Certainly nobody did to me, that the life that you want, it requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. We're going to dig into that today. So, we're taught that life change is external, right? Like it's all outside of me. It's the age old, I'll be happy when syndrome, right? I'll be happy when fill in the blank. Somehow we get this belief going. We perpetuate this belief that like everything in our life is going to be so much better. Everything's going to shift. The whole world is going to be just puppies and rainbows and kittens as soon as we get the new job, the new relationship, love, a new opportunity in life, a new environment. As soon as we move, right? As soon as we lose that last 10 pounds, oh, that's a big one, ladies. Life is going to be so much better. As soon as I get that body, right? Everything's going to fall into place. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens. And I think logically we know this, but yet we still operate under the assumption that it's true. Nowhere Nowhere in life does that happen except temporarily. And let me explain. So you buy the car, you get the promotion, you lose the weight, you arrive. Ooh, you've arrived at the coveted place. And for just a moment, here's the temporary part. For just a moment, it actually does fix everything. For a moment, it solves everything. Everything is better. It feels incredible. It's like a mini high, and you're on top of the world. There's excitement, there's validation, there's relief, probably, right? Like, finally, something has worked out, right? Finally, you've made it. I mean, like I said, it's the I'll be happy when this happens, as if my happiness is waiting on that thing and it cannot arrive until that thing happens. That actually reminds me of like on the movie Trolls, where they're like, we're only happy if we eat trolls. And the Gorgons or Bergens or whatever their name is, I don't remember. They're like, we can only be happy when we eat trolls. And so then there's no more trolls left. And the king is talking to his son, and the son's like, so how am I going to be happy? And the king is like, well, you won't be. You never will be. Because you don't have this thing, right? Like that's kind of how we think. Like we're like troll in the Trolls movie, and we're like the Bergens. Like I'll only be happy when I have this thing. Like happiness and joy is just on the other side of that, right? And when you get it, like I said, it does feel like you were right for a little bit, for just a little bit. You get the job. You celebrate, you feel on top of the world, you feel successful. Can't wait to tell everybody, right? Or this is a big one because I know I'm talking to a lot of women. So you step on the scale and you realize you have finally reached the magical, all powerful, oh my God, life as we know it is different. I have reached my goal weight. And you cry with emotion, right? So it's like you get the thing you've been wanting for so long, and you feel relief and excitement and elation and joy, ecstasy maybe. You feel so like really, really good. And it's real and it's almost tangible. But that doesn't last, because it's not very long before something really subtle starts to happen. Something starts to shift and the excitement starts to fade. The newness of it, that kind of shininess sort of dulls a little. And the satisfaction that you felt so deeply, so all encompassing, starts to kind of ebb away a little bit. And in that transition where the excitement starts to fade, the newness wears off, you start asking more questions, right? Thinking more. you start to kind of like, I guess to say it a different way, you start to like feel the weight of it. It's not so much like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. But now it's questions of, what if I fuck this up? Oh my God. Like, what if I can't keep this? Like, what if I can't hold on to this thing that I wanted so badly? So instead of, oh my God, I'm so excited to have it, it turns into, what if I lose it? So your fear just sort of shifted, like the fear that you'd never have it, the fear that your life would never be complete because you didn't have the things. And now your fear is shifted into, oh my God, I have it, but what if I lose it? So now instead of enjoying the thing, you're like managing it, protecting it, trying viciously to protect it, right? You're overthinking everything about it. You're focusing all your energy just on like trying not to lose it. And this is where I think the situation and maybe even the people inside of it start to unravel a little bit, right? Not all at once. It's not like some big dramatic crazy like crash and burn. I mean, it can be that, but it's often not. It usually happens kind of slowly. Things like the person starts to pull back. They start to hesitate in their choices and the way that they're, approaching things. They stop showing up in the same way with the same fullness, right? And then what happens after that is, and this is the part we usually see visually or notice, we're conscious of, they start to self-sabotage. Because what's happened is this person in this situation, they have started to live and make decisions to basically just exist in fear. And from the outside, here's the thing, from the outside it doesn't make sense because this is the thing they wanted. But internally, it makes perfect sense because what happened was that they got the thing that they wanted, but the version of them, like who they were, stayed the same. So they got the thing, but they didn't grow their capacity at the same time they grew their life. They didn't become that next version of themselves that they needed to be in order for that thing to be normalized, right? To just be who they are. Yes, I'm a person that does this job. Yes, I'm a person that drives this car. Yes, I'm a millionaire. Yes, I'm these things. I'm a woman that weighs X amount of weight. Like that's not part of my identity yet. I didn't step into that next identity yet. So that thing becomes off kilter. That thing becomes something I've got to cling to, right? It's something that I haven't normalized yet in my brain, in my body, in my nervous system. And that is where shit gets crazy. Shit gets messy. See, that version of you that you can see when you close your eyes, right? We close our eyes, we see it in our mind, this life that we wish we had, right? This life we wish we were living. But the version of you in that life that you see with the money, the car, the relationship, the kids, the whatever it is that you're wanting, the body, right? That version of you that you see living that, it's not the same version of you that is sitting here picturing it. You're not picturing yourself with the thing. You're picturing a new version of you with the thing. And this version of you has to become that version of you in order to be able to hold the things that you see her having. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense. Okay, listen. I'm going to say it a different way. It's really, really easy to want things. It's low key one of the easiest things we can do as a human being. We just want it. That's it. It's almost automatic. You can want freedom, money. We've talked about a lot of these already. Money, success, love, the perfect body, impact. You can want impact in the world. Visibility, whether that's visibility on a global scale, or maybe you just want visibility at your job. You want people to notice you. You want visibility in your own home. That's real too. Like you just want to be seen, right? You can want anything. The want, it's instant. That part is easy. It doesn't require anything from you other than desire. That's it. See the thing, like the thing, want the thing. And not even necessarily that. Sometimes it's like imagine the thing, want the thing. Think of the thing, like it pops into your head, want the thing. Like it's literally that simple. But holding those things, like not just getting them, having them for a moment, but holding them, sustaining them in your life, that requires something from you. And if you don't have it, you're going to lose the very thing that you wanted just as quickly as you got it, or honestly, maybe even quicker. Because holding something, it isn't about like gripping it tighter, clinging for dear life to that thing. Don't let it go. Like it's not, you get the love that you want. And to hold it, it's not going to work for you to just cling as tight as you can and refuse to never be without it. Let's say it's a man, right? This man steps into your life and all of a sudden you're so terrified to lose him that you cling. You never let him leave the house. You make him stay on the phone with you when he goes to the grocery store just so you know he's there. You can never you cannot go to sleep or function unless he is there by your side the whole time. Like that's not it. It's not about gripping tighter. And that's just one example, I guess, in the physical sense, that would be a little intense. But like, even with your money, right? Like, think about it with your money. If every time you get money, you're clinging to it, desperate to keep it, terrified of having to spend any of it, you're not enjoying that thing. So, holding something, keeping something, sustaining something, it's not about gripping it tighter. It's about becoming the kind of person who has already normalized having the thing. It's already part of their identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. Becoming the kind of person that has self-trust, that literally trusts their own body, gut, mind, heart enough to adjust when something's not aligned. Like, let's take success, for instance, because that's a big one. A lot of people want success. They want success. Okay. But success requires consistency. Not the kind of consistency that most people think of. The hustle and grind and hustle. Ugh, gross. But consistency that doesn't force you to push through something that feels wrong. Consistency, not in the way that it's like hustle for hustle's sake, but consistency in the way of like knowing the difference between this thing is uncomfortable because I'm growing. And the only way out is through. I've got to keep going because I'm growing. It's uncomfortable, but it doesn't make it wrong. It's uncomfortable because growth is icky sometimes. Growth doesn't feel good all the time, right? Growth demands a temporary surrender of security. So I know that in this thing that feels right to me, that growth feels uncomfortable, but I know I'm going to keep going. I'm going to be consistent because that's what's required in this situation. That's the consistency that is required. It's knowing when the opposite is true. It's knowing when this thing isn't right for me. It feels icky, it feels off, it feels wrong because it's misaligned, because it's not meant for me. Right? So it's knowing the difference between those two. And then being willing, having the courage, I guess you'd say, to adjust and respond accordingly when you feel that something is off, or when you feel that no, this is discomfort, but it's the good kind, it's the growth kind, or this is discomfort and it's the ick kind, this is giving me ick vibes. Nope, I need to sidestep, I need to pivot. Right? It's knowing the difference and then responding accordingly. Like, love is another good example. Most people say they want love at the end of the day. They just want to be loved. Right? If you get love and you don't have the capacity to hold it, you're not the person yet that is healed and has grown through the things you've been through yet. You're going to lose it. If you are not the person that you need to be yet to hold that love, if you have not grown your capacity to hold love, you will sabotage the very thing that you're desperate for because you never learned how to hold it. Holding love requires emotional safety, not just like finding somebody who treats you well. We can all find somebody who'd treat us well for a while, but being able to receive the love, not pushing it away, not like testing it and fucking poking at it all the time, creating problems where there aren't any just to see if it's real. Listen, we've all done it, okay? Let's be honest. We've all done it. No shame. It happens. But until you are the person that has the capacity to hold that, you're going to continue to do those things. You're going to continue to poke at it and just pull it apart until you find what's wrong, right? And being able to receive love and really, really hold that love, it also requires staying when it's real. And maybe even more importantly, recognizing when it's not. Just because he treats you well, just because she treats you well, doesn't mean it's meant for you. It doesn't mean it's meant to be. A lot of people will treat you well, but that doesn't mean that's somebody that you should completely give your heart to. But the truth is, and here's the biggest thing about love that most people are not willing to look at, they're not really willing to kind of dig into. The biggest requirement, if you will, for holding love is learning to love yourself first. And now listen, I know you're already be like, oh yeah, wah wah, self-love, wah wah wah. It sounds simple. And I will acknowledge that it feels like absolute bullshit when you're in it because that's not what anybody wants to hear, right? Like nobody wants to hear love yourself first. Like it feels like bullshit when you're like, I just want to be loved. And everybody's like, love yourself. And you're like, fuck myself. I want to be loved. I want to be loved by somebody else. Like I get it. And I acknowledge that. But the reality is, if you don't love yourself, you will not be able to believe that anybody else can. You can't. Like not really, not consistently. Like you can get into relationships. You can, maybe even sustain it for a little while, but eventually you're going to pull it apart. You're going to ruin the very relationship that you wanted because you were not in a place in your heart to hold it because you didn't love you first, right? And even if you can sustain it for that short period of time, you're going to be questioning it every 5 minutes. Like you're literally going to be questioning every single move your partner makes because it doesn't make sense to you. You're living in the fear of losing the thing that you don't even think you deserve. So even when love shows up, you're going to start picking at it, overanalyzing it, right? Literally like analysis of like everything the person does. You're going to continuously look for what's wrong and be continuously waiting for the other shoe to drop, just all the time. And eventually you're going to create the very destruction, if you will. You're going to create the very broken relationship that you were afraid of. You're going to create the situation you were afraid of. You're terrified he's going to leave. So you can't stop calling him, checking his phone, following him around town, making sure he's not having an affair, making sure he's coming home until he leaves. And then you're going to go, see, I knew it. I'm unlovable. See, I knew it. All men are pigs. See? And now you've got a whole storyline. Now you've got a whole storyline to back up the evidence that your subconscious mind was already telling you was there. And the fucked up part is, I just said it, subconscious, right? This isn't consciously. That's why this is so hard, okay? Because consciously, in your mind, the mind that you're aware of, you're like, no, I totally love myself. I'm great. I'm a catch. I know my worth. Hell yeah. Like, I'm awesome. And you probably mean that. You probably genuinely mean that because consciously you are actually thinking, fuck yeah, I'm a catch. He's lucky to have me, okay? But underneath that, if there's a part of you that doesn't believe that, you're going to have problems because that underneath part is the part that runs the show. Let me tell you like this, okay? Let me say it like this. So, you know those images of like the ocean and then you have like an iceberg and on the top, a lot of times they say success. And then below that is this humongous chunk way down deep in the ocean. And it says hard work, dedication, determination, refusal to quit, shows you all the things that were required, right? This is the stuff you don't see. This is what you see, right? So what you're seeing above the surface is like, I don't know, 20%, 25%, right? The other 75 to 80%, did I just do the math right? Yeah, I did the math right. Okay. Underneath the surface, the part you can't see, that's your subconscious mind. Okay. The part you can't see. This humongous, the vast majority of this iceberg is underneath the surface. That's your subconscious mind. The little part on top that you can see, the little tiny part at the top, that's the 25%. That's your conscious mind. And a lot of us think that the conscious mind is like, well, I told myself I love myself. I do my affirmations every day. Of course I love myself. I'm a fucking catch. But you're not realizing that all this other 80% down below the surface is going, I'm unlovable. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of love. I don't deserve it. My value is less than everybody else. I'm not as good as anybody else, right? All this stuff underneath. And that part, unfortunately, the subconscious mind is literally running the show. And let me tell you this in a little bit greater detail so you understand a little bit further. The subconscious mind, what it's made up of is every experience you've ever had. Yeah. Every experience you've ever had, particularly the ones when you were a kid, like little Betty, right? So every time anybody said something harsh to you, every time you experienced some kind of trauma, either big T or little t, it doesn't matter. Anytime you experienced something painful or something that had a heightened emotion attached to it, it all got stockpiled in your subconscious mind. It still is to a certain extent. And so now those experiences, they turn into beliefs. And your subconscious mind will then search for evidence to support the beliefs it has. And that can be evidence for good, evidence for bad, evidence for somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. It's just looking for evidence all the time to support what it already believes to be true under the surface. Now, meanwhile, your conscious mind is up here like, doo doo doo, I love myself. I'm awesome. I'm so amazing. I'm all these things. I'm smart. I'm pretty. I'm successful. I'm all the things. Woo! And beneath the surface, your subconscious mind is going, Mom said she wished she didn't have to take care of me. Dad said I was a burden. I remember when my older brother told me that I was worthless. I remember when a friend told me that they hated me. And, so all these things that happened, that's all stored down here. And what happens is you create meaning when these things happen. Trauma isn't what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you when the thing happened. Meaning, it's the story that you wrote about what happened that creates the trauma. It's not the thing itself. And I know that may be hard to swallow, but Dr. Gabor Mate, he talks a lot about this. He's one of the leading trauma experts. So I would highly encourage you look him up if you really want to know more about this. But the reality is, it's about the meaning that we attach to what happened. So it's not about the fact that your older brother told you he thinks you were adopted because you didn't fit in and you don't belong anywhere in this world. It's the meaning that you attached to what he said. That's what the subconscious mind is like. Got it. That's our truth. That's our reality. We really don't belong. We really didn't belong here. We really were meant to be somewhere else. Maybe we weren't meant to be born at all. All these things that attaches, right? So that's a broad strokes overview of conscious and subconscious mind, right? Unconscious, also subconscious, unconscious, same thing. Okay, so now that you understand that, we're talking about love. Your conscious mind is like, I love myself. I'm ready for love. I'm in it. I'm here for it. But your subconscious mind is still holding on to that programming. It's still holding on to those beliefs from ages ago that say I'm not enough, right? I'm worthless. I'm unlovable, whatever. And so your conscious mind is probably fully convinced that you love yourself. So when you're looking at the screen, you're like, no, I really do love myself. Probably. Your conscious mind is probably like, yeah, no, we really do. But the subconscious mind sees the relationship possibility in front of you. It sees this new person, this potential partner, right, in front of you. And immediately will start to try to pull it apart because that subconscious mind is driving all those behaviors. So it's going to start to cause you to act in ways that maybe you wouldn't normally act. And it plays a part in all of it. It literally is the computer program that runs your whole laptop. That's the part of you that is choosing who you're even attracted to in the first place. It's the part of you that is deciding what you're going to tolerate. It's the part of you that ignores red flags. Like, that kind of felt off, but like, maybe it's fine. Girl, no, it's not fine. You know it's not fine. I know it's not fine. We all know it's not fine. But in the moment, you're like, it's fine. And you make excuses for it, right? Okay. And before you start yelling at the screen, because like I can already hear the arguments, I can already hear it coming back at me. Before you start telling me, okay, but the men I dated were trash. Okay, but my last two girlfriends were complete, dumpster fires. Like before you start telling me it's not on me, that's not because I didn't love myself, that's because they were psycho. Let's just pause for a second because I hear you. I do. I hear you. And you may be right. They may have been total douchebags. But let's just pause for a second because I want to ask you a question. from a place of love, because I want you to really think about this, okay? Maybe they were assholes. Maybe they were just bad people. But why do you think that you keep being drawn to those kinds of people? Because here's the thing, if you truly knew your worth, would you have chosen them in the first place? And I know, now I can hear another argument, but they fooled me. Maybe that's possible. Maybe they were assholes, but they were incognito. And there was no indication in the beginning, not a single red flag at all. But even if that's true and they fooled you in the beginning, if you really knew your worth, if you really knew your value, would you have stayed as long as you did? Would you have ignored the red flags? Because eventually, even the best actor eventually shows their true colors. Even the best, asshole in disguise, they're going to show. Nobody is that good an actor forever, right? Eventually, you start to see cracks in the facade. Eventually, you start to see the red flags. And when that happened, would you have stayed as long as you did if you really knew your worth? Would you have ignored the red flags when they came up? Would you have kept making excuses for their behavior for as long as you did if you really loved yourself truly and knew your value? No. But you did. You did those things because something in you believed this is the best I'm going to get. That wound that you hadn't healed yet, it said, if not him, then who? That pain underneath the surface, that subconscious stuff from all the relationships before, from the wounds from your childhood, from everything that says you're not lovable, that stuff, that program told you that some version of love, even if it hurt, was better than being alone. That's not love, though, right? That's survival. So if you want love, if you really want to be able to hold it, to sustain it when it shows up in your life, you've got to understand this. Holding love from someone else requires you to hold love for yourself first. Not perfectly, okay? Listen, I've been on this self-love journey for a long time, right? And I still every once in a while will have like a random thought go through my head and I'm like, damn, that was mean. Like I'm like, damn, Corey, that was mean as fuck. Like, it surprises me in how hateful I was trying to be to myself just for a split second, just for a little bit. Now, the flip side of that is, the good news about that is that, flashback 10 years ago, that was how I talked to myself all the time, all the time. That was just my baseline. So I have come so far. But my point is, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have self-love without some moments of doubt. You're never going to see your worth or your value clearly and never have a negative thought about yourself ever again. You're just not. So we're not looking for perfection. Okay. When I say holding love from someone else requires you to hold love for yourself first, I don't mean perfectly. I mean honestly, in a way that actually changes what you choose, in a way that changes what you allow and what you walk away from when it crosses the line of what you allow. The boundaries in your life, the ones that you hold, not the ones you say, the boundaries in your life are a direct reflection of your level of self-love. So if you're sitting here telling me, but I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, but your boundaries are shit, no, you don't. You just think you do up here, but your subconscious mind does not. It's not on board yet. You still got work to do. I mean, we all still have work to do, but you know. So when you actually begin to heal that and to grow in that way of loving yourself, and you change what you choose and you start changing what you allow and you start putting up fiercer boundaries, when you do that, you don't just find love. That's when you're able to keep it. That's when you can have that relationship and hold it and sustain it. Visibility is another one that we talked about. Visibility, right? A lot of people want visibility, but it requires resilience because people are going to project onto you. The more that you're seen, the more people are going to project their shit onto you. They will misunderstand you. Unfortunately, that's not optional. They will misunderstand you. They will have opinions about you. It's about what you say and how you show up. And it will have nothing to do with you. It'll have everything to do with them and the shit that they're carrying that they haven't healed yet, right? They don't love themselves yet. So they're projecting that shit onto you. It has nothing to do with you, but you have to be resilient enough that you can stay rooted in yourself during those times without shrinking, without pulling back, without abandoning your voice and who you are. And freedom? There's another one we talked about. What do you want in your life? I want more freedom. This is probably the one I hear the most. And I think it's the one that requires the most as well. Because people think that freedom looks like, I just want to lie on the beach all day with margarita in my hand. Do nothing, right? Like, that is a common, we all say it. I said it last week. It's not that laying on the beach drinking a margarita is bad, right? It's that when we talk about freedom, we equate it with, I want to do nothing. I want to have zero responsibility. When people think about freedom, they equate freedom to, it means like I've got enough money or enough freedom to do nothing, to just lie on the beach all day and drink margaritas and do nothing. But the reality is, you don't really want that. No, you don't. I'm sorry. Argue with me all you want, but no, you don't. You would be bored as fuck after just a couple of weeks. That's the reality. You would be bored as hell. You would, if you actually had like that type of like freedom, you'd start feeling super restless. You would feel unfulfilled. Okay. You would feel like something was missing. Like it wouldn't take long before you would find yourself wanting more than the nothing you had hoped for. You'd want to like build things or create something. You'd want to even just be a part of something, but okay, every single mother on this earth has had this thought at some point or another. I wish I'd get really sick or maybe hit by a bus. Not enough to kill me, not enough to maim me, but just enough to give me bed rest for like a week, right? Like we've all said it or at least thought it. But the reality is, you'd get bored. You'd be so bored. I've been on bed rest for multiple weeks at a time, and I only lasted about 5 days before I was just, ready to kill somebody. Because yeah, I want to just sit and watch TV all day. I wish I had the freedom to just sit around and watch TV all day. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't. Because you would be bored. I mean, unless things in your life are so dire that you are desperate for an escape and you just don't happen to do heroin, like maybe then in that situation, maybe TV endlessly would be the jam. But any normal person that is not on that level of like, oh, got to do an overhaul of your life, like anybody that just living a normal life, I wish I could just lay around and watch TV all day. No, you don't. Because nobody really wants that kind of freedom. Freedom isn't just about having no responsibility. It's about having the capacity to hold your own life and having the self-awareness. And that's required. It's not even just like, oh, this is a bonus. Like it's required. Like real freedom requires self-awareness on a really deep level because it requires you actually knowing yourself, knowing when you genuinely do need rest. Maybe you do need margaritas on the beach. Maybe that is what you need momentarily. Maybe you really do need a day of just TV and nothing else. Maybe. But it's the self-awareness to know when that's true and when what you're really craving is purpose, is something that fills you up rather than the mundane life that you're just living day in and day out because somebody told you this is what you were supposed to do or because this is the life that you found yourself in and now you're going, why am I here? Ugh. And it's not fulfilling at all, right? So what you're really wanting in those instances, it isn't zero responsibility and just nothing to do. It's purpose. It's something that fills you inside. And having real freedom requires you to know the difference. I need rest. I'm approaching burnout. I need to recuperate. I need to recover. And I need purpose in my life. Okay, right? Because those two are not the same thing at all. And if you don't know the difference, you will either burn yourself out or just drift aimlessly. You'll be on the beach with a margarita and wondering what the fuck is wrong. You have everything you ever wanted and you're still feeling something's off, right? Freedom also requires self-leadership. And I think this is one that a lot of people don't talk about. It requires us being able to lead ourselves because if you have true freedom, nobody else is telling you what to do. If you oh, I want freedom from I don't want to have a boss. I wish I didn't have a boss. I wish I had the freedom to run my own company. Yeah, well then you better get real disciplined. You better have real self-leadership qualities because when there's nobody there directing you, you have to be the person that does it anyway. Trust me on this. I've had my own business for the last, I don't even know, 10, 15 years. And it requires you doing things when nobody's telling you to do them. When you see a sunny day out and you want to just go ride, all you want to do is just go ride, but you've got a deadline and you know you need to finish whatever it is that you got to finish, you got to stay home and do it anyway. And not from force, okay? Not from pressure. I'm not talking about you just got to keep going. I'm talking and not please don't tell me from the shoulds. Stop shoulding on yourself, right? Like it's not from the I should be doing something, but from alignment. From back to that what we talked about earlier, it's that this is uncomfortable because it's growth. But I know it's also taking me to that next level, that next version of me. So knowing the difference and then, knowing what matters to you, knowing what really is important to you, and then choosing it consistently. If this thing, this end goal that I have in mind is important to me, then I can't just fuck off every day it's sunny and leave the house, right? If this thing is really the most important thing to me, I gotta stay the course. And freedom requires you to give a lot less fucks about what other people think. That's a big one, guys, because you cannot be free. And this, Jesus, you cannot ever be truly free if you are still a prisoner of other people's opinions. You can't be free if you are constantly thinking, oh my God, how did I look in that picture? Oh my God, what did they think about me in that conversation? Oh my God, did I stuff my teeth? What impression did I make when I walked in? Did I shake his hand too hard? Did I shake his hand too light? What did I do? That's not freedom. That's performance. But that's not freedom. So if you want real freedom requires letting go of the need to be approved of. That's a requirement that most people are not willing to meet. Even if they're willing to meet all the other requirements for freedom, like that's the one they're like, all right, that's too, you've gone too far. Like I just can't. I can't let go of what everybody else thinks, right? And it is a hard one. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But freedom requires you to let go of that need, that approval need, right? And it also requires you to get honest about what is actually making you happy. What is that end goal, right? What is that thing I'm reaching for that I really truly want? What actually makes me happy? What does light me up? You'd be shocked at how many people I talk to. And I always ask this question. If you had $1 billion tax free, no need to work ever again, you never had to think about it again, you could do whatever you wanted with the rest of your time on this earth, what would you do? What do you mean, what I do? I'd go buy a house. No, no, no. What would you do with your time? What would you do with your days? How would you fill your days? And you'd be shocked to know how few people have ever thought about that before. How few people I ask that question to have an answer because they don't know. They don't know what really makes them happy. They want freedom, but they don't even know what they would do with it if they had it. If you create a life where you have space and time and options, but you don't know what really lights you up, you're not going to feel free. You're going to feel lost, disappointed. You feel a lot of things, and none of it's going to be good. You'll be busy like trying things to fill time, like doing the things to fill time to distract yourself. But underneath it, there's no direction. There's no anchor. There's nothing pulling you, right? You don't know what that thing is. And so every time the sun comes out, you just go ride because why not? You don't know where you're trying to go. And so then you're just kind of listless, just drifting. Freedom without self-knowledge doesn't feel like freedom. It's just floating. It's just, I mean, like I said, it's just drifting. And if you're not able to meet any of the requirements that we've talked about, in any of the ones that we haven't, there's a million more, right? And if you're not willing to meet those requirements yet for freedom, you won't lose the opportunity because you don't want it bad enough. Like that's what a lot of people think. Like, oh, I must not have wanted it bad enough. Actually, somebody when I was growing up used to say that to me. Oh, you don't have it? Well, you must not have wanted it bad enough. I don't think that's it. I don't believe that. I think it's not because you didn't want it bad enough or because you didn't try hard enough. I think you'll lose it because you weren't yet the version of you that you needed to be to sustain it. But that's not failure, right? We got to stop looking at everything as like pass fail. It's not. There's shades in between, right? It's not failure, it's feedback. You've probably experienced this. I mean, and maybe not in like some massive obvious ways, but definitely in smaller, like quieter ways. Getting an opportunity and then procrastinating on it until it's gone, till you lost it, the deadline's passed, whatever. Getting attention, but then like pulling back, playing hard to get, pulling away, making it difficult until they just move on. Maybe you got close to something good and then you just overthought it into the ground. I think we've all done that one, right? Or even just like feeling like your life is starting to open up, and instead of stepping into it fully, you hesitate, you pause, you freeze, right? A lot of us have done that too. You wait, second guess, slow yourself down, and it feels confusing because there's a part of you that really does want it so badly. And there's another part of you that is resisting it just as hard. It's not you being broken, though. That's the thing. It's not because there's something wrong with you or because you're broken. It's because your current capacity, the version of you that you are, is meeting something bigger than what it's used to. To back up just a little bit, for those of you who don't know my story, I'm going to sidestep just a little bit to kind of just give you a little bit of context here. I struggled with a very, very severe addiction, meth, cocaine, heroin, all the things, for many years. Okay, this was something that was a big struggle. It consumed me for a lot of years. And and me walking away from that life, it came down to one very small, very quiet, almost nothing moment. That moment was me sitting in my car at 2 a.m. trying to get high. All my veins were just gone. Okay, just MIA. They just disappeared. They were like, "Nope, we're out." And I was so mad. I was gonna say frustrated, but I wasn't frustrated. I was way past frustrated. I was enraged. I was so angry that I just started pounding on the steering wheel, right? I just started banging on the steering wheel and I'm screaming like psychotic wordless screaming, okay? I'm already aware of how crazy this sounds. Trust me, I was there. It was psycho. It was worse in person, okay? I was just like full body like screaming, pounding on the steering wheel. And as I'm doing that, and I'd moved the mirror down so I could see different veins as I tried to and so the mirror's like tilted down and I'm screaming and I'm just pounding on the steering wheel and I caught myself. I caught my reflection in the mirror. Not only the straight up psychotic look on my face, right? But also these little like beaded up spots of just blood all over my body. And I didn't have as many tattoos back then. So, there's just smears of blood and, just like everywhere, right? And I realized, like, I had that thought of like, "Holy shit, I'm a pincushion." Like, I've just made myself a fucking pincushion. And I just stared. I just stared in that mirror at my reflection. And in that moment, in that quiet, I heard something so clearly I could never forget it. I could never unhear it. It literally changed my life. It changed me. I think in that moment, in that thought, it changed who I was. And it was just a whisper. It wasn't like some like an actual audible voice. "Oh, Corey, what are you?" It wasn't even like that. It was just a whisper of a thought, just fleeting through my mind. This is not who you are. That's it. That's it. I was staring in the mirror, looking at my body, just horrified at who I was, and the thought just whispered through my mind, "This is not who you are." And I remember just sitting there, completely still, letting that thought bounce around in my brain, just whoa, trying to take hold because I knew in my bones, I knew in my soul that it was true. Not in a shameful way. I actually wasn't ashamed, and that was kind of what was different about that time versus times before, because let's be real, I had tried shame as a catalyst for change many times. Turns out, you really can't hate yourself into the version of you wanna be. Just a spoiler alert in case you're out there trying to like I did, you can't. It won't work. But in that moment, it wasn't actually shame. It was just kinda like it wasn't anything really, it was just a neutral. It was just, "This is not who you are." Holy fuck. That's true. This very clear. grounded knowledge that I was meant for more than the life that I was living. Who I was meant to be and who I was in that moment were two completely different people. I was, I mean, needless to say, I was tolerating all kinds of shit I should not have been. All kinds of things. I was entertaining people that I knew deep down had no business in my life. And let's be real, had I not been doing drugs, not in a million years would these people be in my life. Not ever, not even a little bit, not even temporarily. Nope. But because of the life that I was living, because of who I was in that moment, I was just letting them in. I was making choices that I almost always felt ashamed of later. So much shame, right? Just choice after choice after choice that I wasn't proud of in the moment, but made it okay, made it sound okay for me, and made it, rationalize it or justified it away. And then down the road, I would maybe even just hours later, would feel just totally ashamed of. I was looking outside of myself for direction, for validation, for escape. I was running from who I was and everything I'd been through before, right? And that version of me that was sitting in the car at 2 a.m., horrified at the reflection in the mirror, there is no way she could have held the life that I have now. It wouldn't have been possible. She couldn't have. I actually remember writing in my journal back then, before that moment, that night in the car. I remember writing in my journal. I actually still have the journal that a different life wasn't even possible for me. I remember writing, "This is just who I am. I'm just a junkie. I'll never be anything else. This is the only life for me." So there's no way, had someone handed me this life that I have today on a silver platter, just say, "Hey, no strings attached. Here's a different life. All you got to do is just take the keys." That version of me would have destroyed it. That version of me would have completely sabotaged it. She would have doubted it, first of all. She probably never would have believed it in the first place that it was real. So that would have just screwed it right out of the gate. But she would have totally just shrunk, just been so totally and utterly uncomfortable with the life that she was being handed that she would have just thrown it away altogether. She would have destroyed it totally and completely. So after that moment in the car, when I heard, "This is not who you are," that was the moment for me. I walked away from that life. I knew I had to build something different. I knew that I was done. Like I said, that thought changed me. It shifted something in me on a level that nothing ever had, no single thing had, I should say, up to that point. So after that moment, that night in the car when I heard, "This is not who you are," that was for me the night that I walked away. That was, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. It was a long time ago. And I walked away and I never looked back. I walked away from that life. I knew I had to build something different. Not overnight, not overnight. Jesus, it was painfully slow. Okay. When I say I walked away from that life and never looked back, it kind of sounds cute. Oh, look at her. She did this. Not perfectly. Not in the least, right? There were so many mistakes along the way, but consistently. It was just showing up every day, deciding, even in really small ways, to become someone that I could actually be proud of. I was determined. I decided in that moment, maybe not consciously, right? Like these thoughts don't all come together in this really beautiful movie, cinematic movie version, whatever. But looking back, I realized that night, the reason I walked away and I never went back, the reason that I was in it that time and I really did succeed is because I was deciding in that moment to become someone different. The woman that I saw in that mirror, screaming, psychotic because she couldn't get high, blood all over, like what? Ew, I was so disgusted with who I had become. And then that thought hit me and I realized it was real. At that moment, something changed in me. And I decided that I would do whatever it took. I would do whatever it took. I would keep showing up even when I didn't know what to do. I would keep showing up even when everything felt like a mess until I became someone different. And that's what people don't see when they look at someone's life and they think, I want that. When people look at my life, and I've had people recently say, like, oh, gee, I wish I lived your life. Oh, gee, I wish I had the life you have. Oh man, they find out I'm preparing to move into an RV and do life on the road and all these things. Oh man, gee, it must be nice. They say comments like that all the time, right? Oh, I wish I could do that. They don't see the version of me that had to be built first with blood, sweat, and tears. So many tears. They don't see everything it took for me to get here. See, after that moment in the car, my pincushion moment, if you will, I took the drugs away and I never went back to them. I didn't relapse. I didn't go back for, a couple of weeks here and a couple of weeks there. No, I was done. That was it. The drugs were done. I walked away from that life. I cut people off. I deleted contacts. I erased my phone. I was done. I said the most hurtful shit I could possibly think of to the people in my circle to guarantee they would never want anything to do with me again. I cut every tie I had. But who I was, the person, the human being, the woman that I was in that moment, that woman, she had so much work to do to be this woman. Because removing the drugs wasn't enough to prepare me for that life. Even a year later, a year sober, had someone handed me this life, it would have been the same thing. Removing the drugs wasn't enough to change the very foundation of who I was. No, that was a separate thing. That was an identity thing. I had to become someone who took responsibility for her life, who stopped blaming everything and everyone except for me. I always managed to wiggle out of my own blame game, but nobody else did. It was everybody else's fault, but never mine, right? I had to become someone who felt my emotions instead of shoving them away. And that, ladies and gents, that was huge. That was hard. I had to start asking myself, like, being aware of my choices and then asking myself, like, what am I actually choosing? Because what you're not changing, you're choosing, right? So, like, what am I actually choosing in this moment, every moment? That's not easy either. I had to become so self aware that I stopped running on autopilot and stopped just trying to escape everything that I didn't want to feel. And that's where I'd been for so long that it was literally, that was autopilot for me. Oh, feelings? Oh, that's uncomfortable. Nope, nope, full stop, nope. And I would do whatever I needed to, however much I needed to get out of it, to get away from it, to not feel it, even if just for a little while. Right? So I had to become someone that wasn't doing that anymore. And I had to become someone that recognized every time an emotion snuck up that felt so uncomfortable, I wanted to crawl out of my skin. And, the hardest one, I would say, probably out of all of that, was I'd stop claiming I was the victim. I had to stop pretending I was the victim, which, let me tell you, was not easy. I mean, none of that was easy, but that was the hardest one because there were things that had happened to me. There are things that happened to me long time ago that weren't my fault. Things that were real, traumatic, awful things that were very painful. Or when I was, just young and I didn't have any control over the situation, these things happened to me. They're real. But there's a difference between what happened to me and the choices that I made after. And I had to learn that difference. I had to accept that difference because what happened to me and the things that I continued to allow after that, those are not the same thing. And I also had to learn emotional regulation. And, I said no longer being the victim was the hardest. Maybe this was the hardest. I don't know. They're all pretty hard, but this one has been a journey. And honestly, it's one that I've come a long way, but it's one I'm still working on, right? Emotional regulation, meaning I had to stop reacting to every single emotion that popped up, but also at the same time, not avoiding those feelings, not pushing them away. It's a hard balance. Okay. It was like learning to not make every emotion a decision, or like not immediately like spinning this whole entire story about what it means that something happened. Like I had to stop doing that. It meant not letting temporary situations or temporary states or even, the emotions control long-term outcomes. And we've all heard don't make decisions in a heightened emotional state, but it's really true. You can't allow those temporary states to make permanent decisions. Not making decisions from a completely dysregulated place. When my nervous system is all fucked up, I shouldn't be making decisions about things. That's not the place or time to do it. I mean, because let's be honest, none of us make good decisions when we are in a dysregulated place. We just don't. We can't. I've talked about this in other episodes before about the parts of the brain that you're in. You're literally in a different part of your brain when you are in a dysregulated nervous system. You're in the amygdala. That's not the place to solve problems, critical thinking, making decisions. That ain't it, folks. That ain't it for you, me, anybody. That's just not how human beings were built. Okay. So let's be real about it. That version of you, the dysregulated version of you and me that's all over the place, she doesn't make good decisions. Okay. And that work to maintain that other version of me, the regulated version of me, the calm version of me, the version that feels her feelings, doesn't avoid them, but also doesn't get lost in them. That version of me that's not a victim, that version of me, it took work. It took hard work, long work, and it wasn't visible. There were no like big milestones, somebody to pop out and go, yeah, good job, woo! Like there was none of that. There was no recognition for the progress I was making. Just quiet shifts over time. Just moments where I would catch myself and realize, like, wait a second. Like I haven't screamed at anyone in months. And I screamed at everybody all the time before. What? Like, oh, okay, right? Like there's the moments where you're like, wow, I holy shit, I actually took a breath before I reacted to what just happened. Damn. Like, okay. And they sound like small things, right? They sound like small, tiny little insignificant moments, but they're not. That's capacity. That's identity shift. That's the work. And unfortunately, that's also the part that most people skip. Everybody wants the visible result. Nobody actually wants to do the invisible work, the work that actually makes the result sustainable. Nobody wants to do that. This is that messy middle I keep talking about, right? The invisible work, the days where you choose differently, even when nobody sees it, even when nobody knows. The moments where you do pause instead of reacting, you do take that breath, but nobody sees it but you. And not even you some days. Some days you don't even catch all the ways you're winning, but you just keep going. It's kind of like, this actually reminds me of like ninja moments, I call them ninja moments. It's those moments where you do something totally, completely like samurai warrior badass and nobody sees it. Right? Like something, I don't know, like something flies at your head and you're like, bow, and you catch it without even looking and you're like, boom, and nobody saw it. Right? like so, or something's falling off the table and you're like, woo, and you can and nobody watched. And you're like, damn it, nobody saw that. Like, it's kind of, I don't know why that just popped into my head. But nobody was looking. Nobody was looking, but it doesn't invalidate the fact that you did it. It's the times where you hold a boundary and it feels uncomfortable. It feels like, but you do it anyway. It's almost unbearable. And you do it anyway. You hold the line anyway. It's times where you follow through on something that you said you would do, even though you don't feel like doing it, even when it's not convenient, because you know that you want to be a woman of her word. You want to be a person of integrity. And so you said you would do this. And so you follow through, even though you'd rather be sitting at home in your jammies, right? That's where capacity is built. It's not in these big dramatic moments. It's in the small, consistent ones, day after day, moment after moment, the ones that nobody sees. Listen, capacity isn't something you suddenly have one day when you get the thing you've been wanting, right? It doesn't work like that. That's like saying you're going to have the strength to squat 450 when you put the 450 on the rack and then you go to squat it. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You, depending on who you are and your strength level, you could die. Like, you could seriously injure yourself. It doesn't work like that. It's something you build. So it makes sense that you don't have the capacity to hold the relationship, the money, the freedom, the job, the whatever yet, because you haven't built it yet. It's something that you build layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment, now, before you ever get the thing. And eventually, it becomes who you are. Sometimes the reason that your dream life hasn't happened yet isn't because it's not meant for you. I personally believe if it's in you, it's for you. If you have a desire in your heart, that's not random. I mean, I'm talking about a real desire, not like I want a Snickers, but like a real desire in your heart. If it's in you, it's for you. That's not random. It didn't just show up for no reason. I actually think those desires were placed inside of you, inside of me, inside of all of us on purpose. And if you want to get a little woo-woo with me for a second, I'll just tell you this. If you break the word desire down, desire, day, sire. Day means of, sire, source, creator, parent energy, of the source of the Father. You could look at it however you want. So desire literally means of the source. So where what you believe the source is, God, the creator, divinity, the universe, whatever you call it, it's all the same. Those desires were put there inside of you because they're meant for you. They're not there by accident. Okay? It's you don't not have your dream life because it's not meant for you. And it's not that you're asking for too much either. That ain't it. Get that shit out of your head right now. It's that you are still in the process of becoming the person who can hold it. You're just not there yet. That's all. It's not that it's not meant for you. It's not that you're asking too much. It's not that your dreams are too big. I would venture to say every single one of us, our dreams aren't big enough. It's that you're still in the process of becoming the version of you who can hold it. And I know that can feel so frustrating. Like, I'm ready now, damn it. Give me $1,000,000. Give me love. Give me the new job, whatever it is. Like, I'm ready now, damn it. I've done enough, right? Like, it should be happening by now. I get it. But if you're honest with yourself, really honest with yourself, if you really take kind of an inventory of where you are right now in this moment, you can probably admit that there are still areas where you're growing. I mean, we're all growing all the time, right? But there are areas where they need some work. Areas where maybe you are avoiding things instead of facing them. Areas where you're hesitating instead of acting. You know, you're indecisive. Areas where you're silencing yourself. You know, you don't speak up when you know that you should and you know you wanted to, or where you're shrinking instead of expanding. You're afraid to take up space, right? And that's okay. That's part of it. They don't call this shit a journey for funsies, all right? It's a journey. And spoiler alert, it doesn't ever end. I'm talking to myself here too, guys. Like, damn. Okay, universe, noted. I got it. It's me too. It's all of us. It's a journey. And growth is part of it. Because the life that you're asking for, it isn't something that you get and then you lose, right? That's not what any of us want. It's something you get and then you sustain. It's something that you get and then it becomes a part of you. And if you got it too early, you wouldn't be able to keep it. You don't rise to the level of your desires. You stabilize at the level of your capacity. Let that land. Let that sink in, because this literally changes the question completely. Because the question no longer becomes like, how do I get what I want? The question now becomes, could I actually hold what I'm asking for? And not panic, not go into fear response, not cling to it desperately, terrified it's going to leave me, and not self-sabotage, right? Not tear it apart. And if you ask the question, can I actually hold what I'm asking for? And the answer is not yet. That's not a no. That's just not yet, right? It's just you're still in the process of becoming. And more importantly, the question shifts again, because now the question becomes, who do I need to become to be able to hold it? Because once you see that, once you look at her, that version of you or him, that version of you down the line, that has that thing, who is that person? And who am I in this moment? Now it's not about chasing the thing anymore. It's about building yourself into the person that can sustain it. And that is where the real work is. That's where the real work is, right? And welcome. We're all doing it, right? And this is where I am now, the messy middle. Okay. I've taken a lot of detours in my life, but this one that I'm on now, this is different. This is that first detour, and not necessarily the first of my life, but maybe one of the first really major ones. 13 years ago, when I was walking away from drugs, that was about becoming someone new, right? Completely changing the very foundation of who I was. And then over the years, it was refining her and elevating her, right? Taking her to a new level. And then it was refining again and again and again, over and over and over, right? Because I don't think that process ever stops. It has taken literally 13 years to get me from who I was then to who I am today, sitting here talking to you on Sacred Detours with Corey. And this detour, the one that you're watching unfold now, the one I'm sharing with you now, this one for me is about trusting who I've already become, trusting that I can show up as the version of me that I'm proud of, trusting that I can follow where my heart is leading me, even when I'm afraid, trusting that I'm not going to quit on me, that I'm not going to disappear when things get hard, and trusting that I won't shrink or panic when things shift and expand and when they temporarily contract, even. I'm in that season now, right? Some things that are going on that are scary, or they have the potential to be scary, right? And I'm in that the space where I'm learning to trust that I'm okay. I won't quit on me even when it's scary, because the life that I'm building now, the next version of me. So I was all the way over here and now I'm all the way here and I'm trying to go all the way over there, right? More visibility, more responsibility, more consistency, more honesty. Good Lord, more honesty every day, all day, every moment with you and with myself. It's being fully authentic and honest about who I am every time I'm on this screen, every time I hit record, every time I do a video for social, every single time I post, every time I have a conversation with a friend. It's showing up in that moment as true to myself as I can possibly be. And the only reason that I can even remotely step into that is because of the version of me that I have spent the last 13 years building. So if you're feeling like your life hasn't moved yet, or maybe you're feeling like things haven't clicked yet, maybe you keep almost getting there and pulling back, right? If you're in that space, ask a different question. Don't ask yourself or me, how do I get what I want, right? Stop asking that question because that's not helping you. Start asking, who do I need to become so that this life actually works when I get that thing I want? Who do I need to become to hold the things that I want? Because the goal isn't to touch the life, it's to live in it. Sometimes we think that we're waiting for the life we want to begin. But most of the time, life is waiting for us. The universe is waiting for us to become the version of us who can actually hold it. And when that happens, things don't just arrive, things don't just flash in and out of your life, they stay. They stabilize. They become your new normal. And that's when you realize it was never about getting the life. It was about becoming the person who could live it. Welcome to the detour. I'm glad you're here.